Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's float.
That's right, baby. That's the, chairman of the board, Old Blue Eyes there for you. When that flag goes up, you better be saluting her. Frank's coming after you. Welcome back, everybody. To the phones we go at 1-855-885-3947. 1-855-88-LEWIS. Phil in St. Cloud, 1450 KNSI. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Jason. Thanks so much for taking my call.
You bet.
I'd like to go back to the Republican strategy for the 2012 election and just say that I respectfully have to disagree with your notion that we have to take hard and fast rules against some of these polarizing issues that could potentially cost us the election when, in my opinion, it's our election to lose, just as so many other Republican elections throughout history. We do, presidential elections.
Well, election to do what? I mean, we're talking about how to win an election. What's your goal once you win?
Well, my idea is how to win the election. My idea
that's why we're in the mess we're in. That's why we're in the mess we're in, Phil, because everybody just cares about winning. They don't care about doing something after they win.
At this point, though, in our country, we need to get Obama out of the office.
I agree, but to do what? To do what?
Well, that's the big question. I'm sorry. I don't want to say to do what. What I want to say is that if we look at the way that the election has gone, that the primaries have gone, we see these issues that are almost esoteric in the sense that they're not consequential to our to the direction of our country that it needs to go in.
Well, what issue have I brought up where I thought the party should embrace a debate and take a firm stand is arcane, is outside the mainstream, is of little import to the country?
Well, there's several. There's
energy?
The idea of
energy
Not you personally. Now, I say issues like gay marriage, like...
Well, I didn't bring that up today.
I know you didn't bring it up today, but in my personal opinion, I say that some of these issues, you got to agree that is just the way for the left to get us to take stances on polarizing issues, where we know from countless polls and data that people do tend to more associate themselves with the conservative side over the liberal side, but yet we get ourselves into these issues that really don't have that great of an effect on the overall issues of the country.
There's two things. I know where you're going with this, and there are two things I want to say to you. One, believe it or not, I'm sympathetic to what you're saying, and I agree, but I'm disturbed by your train of thought. And by that I mean there are issues that simply aren't on the forefront. That's why Rick Santorum lost, although he won your home state. But he lost because people are concerned about the economy. That's their first and foremost observation and concern. Now, second of all, however, once you get into a habit of backpedaling because you're afraid to polarize, you're afraid to tick somebody off, you're afraid to take a stand, don't think you can stop that on a dime. If you are afraid to take a strong stand for the pro-life cause, I can guarantee you when you get pushback on taxes, your strategist will say the same thing. Why take a strong stand and alienate people? Just back off on taxes. A little government's good. And when it comes to spending, no. A lot of people like spending. We can't take it. And that's exactly what's happened to the Republican Party.
Well, say it a different way, though. Say it as, what about just going against the status quo? You don't have to take a stance. You could just say, I'm for a different method. My method is not the same method.
Well, those are weasel. Phil, those are just weasel words. That is just the lack of courage in the political arena that precisely has gotten us in the mess we're in. Seriously, what are you thinking about? Forget about social issues.
You can be principled and still take... You can say, like...
you can be principled and still not tell anybody you're principled. Is that pretty much what you're saying?
No, I'm saying you don't have to be specific. You can say, you take Ronald Reagan when he said, what's your opinion on defense? Well, strength or peace through strength, And if you see evil, defeat it. You don't have to get into the ins and outs of how and where
no,
you
that's
would
not,
put
Phil,
your
that's not
troops.
true. Reagan was specific. He wanted to deploy the Pershings in Europe when he was president. He did so in '82 at great political risk. He wanted SDI. He wanted the MX missile. He was very specific. That's not the point. What you're saying is you simply don't agree with the Republicans on gay marriage. All right, then take
well, I don't want to just limit it to that one. I'm just saying that's one polarizing issue.
All right, gay marriage, the pro-life cause, whatever it is.
No, pro-life is extreme. I mean, that part of it, I can agree 100% with taking a stance on that. But I don't want to just limit it to one piece.
Well, look,
issue.
You misread what I say. I happen to disagree with most conservatives on the war on drugs. Now, let's say I'm the sort of guy that you don't want to alienate. Or, well, let me put it to you this way. If you disagree with a position, the answer is not to avoid it. The answer is to state your case as to why you disagree with it. So you can be a good conservative and say, you know what? I think we shouldn't have a federal marriage amendment. That should be left to the states. I think we ought to eliminate the war on drugs because it's a big government program like prohibition, and it's not working. You don't have to run away from these issues. If we never approach these issues, now, I know what you're saying. You don't have to lead with them either. So let's get back to the fiscal side. What are you going to do about energy in America? Because that has a great capability of division, or it's a very divisive issue because you've got so many people who call themselves environmentalists. So you're going to tick off a lot of people if you're strong on energy. So should we just back off energy too?
No, you say, look at the policies that are in effect now. You put the onus on President Obama to defend his policies while you say, here's my policy, here's what I can do, here's the jobs.
Well, what is the policy?
They will create.
Well, what's your policy?
Well, I don't have a policy at this point, but if this was my job, I would have a policy and I'd have a backup to say, I know what you're saying.
Well, what is your philosophy? Is it just to win at any cost, or do you really want to change the country?
At this point right now, we have to win, and then we can ease our way into the way that Reagan did.
I think you are. Frankly, I don't think you're convinced in your own mind that free minds and free markets are really good. Otherwise, you'd be selling them and not running away from them. I think you're afraid. I think you either think the American people are all socialists and you're trying to dupe them into voting for a capitalist by pretending you're not a capitalist, or you just don't believe in it yourself. I can't figure out. Forget about the socialists. We're going to take those off the table. You and I are going to run a campaign on economic issues. I'm saying that you take on the environmentalists, you go and explain how energy exploration can make the country more prosperous, and you engage the debate. What I hear you saying is, no, don't say that. You might get somebody upset at the Sierra Club. Just criticize Obama. It's all Obama's fault. That is not exactly a profile in courage, Phil.
It may not be an exact profile in courage, but one thing it is the way that the left has been defeating us for years by giving us ways for us to defeat ourselves and saying, here is an issue that we know is polarizing, and we know that you're going to take a stance that is unpopular to a large portion of the population.
Well, then once you get elected, and here's the real problem with your strategy. Once you get elected on your strategy, what are you going to do when you get in office? You're going to have to actually implement a policy, and you'll back down then because it will polarize the nation and upset people.